a mixed event.
Love it. And they just came down, finishing first. And I guess
So we can't tell you anything about handicapping because we don't have information on
no.
3 of the boats here. Our second boat has just crossed the finish
And
line.
that'll be lane 1. And then we will have lane 3 coming in third.
In the green.
So that'll be North Dakota.
Or East Bay. So we saw 4 entries on our screen, Maurice, but we have not seen 4 boats on the water.
All right. And it looks like for our next event will be the Mixed Masters Club Novice 8, and we were just talking about a little bit earlier the rules of novice. I believe you can only row competitively for a full year, and then you can no longer row novice. So everybody in these boats should not have more than a year's worth of competitive experience.
Right, and this is another mixed event, so men and women in the Masters age group. And what we're showing here are 2 entries. San Diego Rowing Club, I'm showing in lane 2, stroked by Taria Marek, and in lane 3, the other entry is East Bay, again from Oakland, California. Stroke of that boat should be Paulina Ward. The San Diego boat is listed age 59, so that would be E category boat. And the East Bay boat is listed category B, 41 years old. With that age difference, it's a 38-second handicap, with San Diego giving that time to the East Bay boat, about 9 or 10 boat lengths roughly.
So it looks like they may have, so there was a little bit of confusion. So I think that last race they may have combined 2 races together so it might have been the women's fastest masters as well as the mixed masters club novice. And so possibly next up will be the women's masters D8, which possibly with lane 1 would be Endeavor, and then lane 2 will be Toronto Sculling. Yeah, so that's what it looks like they did for that last race.
Okay.
So there was 2 events in there, so the standings obviously will be a bit different because lane 1 was in its own event, and then lane 2 and 3 were in their own event. So just check those times online.
And the D category is age 50 to 54. And because every boat in this event is D category, then it would not be an age handicapped event. It's the women's 8. The boats are backing into the stake platforms right now.
And as we were talking about earlier before, I mean, it almost like you have to get your point in the beginning of the race, and the coxswain has to really keep their eye out for that course, because there is a slight turn coming down that course. This course isn't fully straight, and so having that coxswain have a good angle so they don't travel more meters than they have to down this course is actually very crucial. On top of figuring out where the wind is coming from and everything else with it.
Right.
The pressure of the coxswain, the importance of having that person in the front of the boat steering is very crucial, especially for races like this.
Yes, and as you know, any steering on a straight course like this is going to slow you down. So the ideal course on a straight buoyed course like this is the coxswain not having to use the rudder at all. or at least minimizing that. A lot of people think the coxswain job is primarily to tell the rowers, especially that stroke seat right in front of them, at what rating to row. And they're certainly having some communication between that coxswain and that stroke seat in terms of race strategy, rating, but responsibilities of the coxswain, as you're saying, is try and keep that boat going as straight as possible, keep it on course. There are occasionally times to let the boat know where they are in relation to their competition in the event, so the rowers are not looking out of the boat, but they're focusing just within the boat. So our race is off, and it was a good, clean start.
Very clean.
Both boats looking really strong.
Very, very clean start. And the first 500 meters of a race is, I think it's pretty fun, especially those first few strokes when you're coming from a dead stop and then picking it up. I mean, you'll see a lot of these crews either doing half, three-quarter length and full slide, or three-quarter, half, whatever works for that boat. But it's just a very, very quick, start. You can probably get up to upper 30s, 40s, and even 50s off of that line in terms of strokes per minute.
It's a lot of mass to get going. We figure it's about a ton in the boat. Obviously depends on the size of the crew, but a good 2,000 pounds, and you're getting that from a dead start up to speed. So 5 quick strokes, usually about 20 high strokes, and then a shift or a settle into that body of the race rating.
And you gotta love it, especially the events with coxswains. It's almost like chaos because you could just hear the coxswains just yelling, especially if you're a rower in the boat, and it's literally just controlled chaos at the front, and then it starts to kind of stretch out after that first 500.
So I guess while we've got this race underway, we can tell you the lineup. So in the Endeavor Racing, what our heat sheet shows here is a stroke by Wendy O'Brien and 7-seat Terry Gilmartin, followed by Catherine Sheehan, Lindsay Shoup, Renee Cunningham, Jay Bellatoni, Angela Mockwin, and then Pam Newhart. Coxswain is Leslie Wright, the founder and one of the coaches for Endeavor Racing Alliance, based out of Mesa, Arizona.
And you love it. Lindsay Shoup, my fellow Golden Norse host, as well as a USA Olympian.
Yes, you'll see Olympians and national team people peppered throughout all of these Masters events.
And I definitely have to give a shout out the women's 8, one of the most dominant teams in Olympic history for quite a few years, and Lindsay Shoup was part of that crew. So shout out to that USA women's 8.
Very impressive, absolutely very impressive. One of the trophies for this regatta here in San Diego is the Susan Francia Cup. Of course, Susan Francia, a member of those winning Olympic 8 teams in not only Beijing 2008 but London 2012, and now has a trophy for the event I think that's the women's alumni event here. The other boat, of course, is Toronto Sculling. Sculling being a little bit of a misnomer since they're sweep rowing at this time.
Very true, very true.
But you know that some of the finest scullers make really fast sweep boats.
Yep, and I'm not biased or anything as a sculler myself.
Yep. So the lineup for the Toronto is a stroke by, let's see, we've got Jay Wallinga, Carrie Brown, T. Hunter, C. Aarons, K. Cochran-Brink, E. Taylor, J. Ellis, T. Brooks, and G. Nasmith, the lineup in the Toronto boat. And we do not have a view of the course right now, so can't tell you whether it certainly looked like Endeavor Rowing was moving out to a pretty nice lead the last I saw on our screen here. not a bad day for racing overall. Um, Looking at winds that are probably 10 to 12 knots, maybe. I guess fluctuating a bit, but I've certainly seen a lot windier here. The nicest rowing here in Mission Bay is usually first thing in the morning and later afternoon.
See, and I had the privilege of going out early this morning out of your club, SDRC. They gave me, I went out with Claire, and the water was just so perfect.
It's nice.
It really was. But yeah, as the day goes on, the wind, starts to wake up because, we wake up before the wind does.
Yep. Yeah, the landmass starts to heat up, and then we get these onshore winds. And the other thing about being on the bay here is that even though this area of the bay is closed for the regatta from other boat traffic, any other time of the year we have to contend with recreational boats, fishing boats, water skiers, and another reason to get on the water early and off the water early.
So it looks like we have probably would be like halfway through. I'm trying to see like the buoy markers, but that's also very hard to see. But they are closing in on the last half of the race. That I do know. And it looks like we will have lane closest to us, lane closest to the land in front. But the other crew does not look too far behind. So we still have a race on our hands.
Still have a race, and it looks like they're in front of that short bridge right now. So but if they are getting any crosswinds, it looks like they're handling it very nicely.
They do, and it looks like they're very controlled, as you can see. That catch timing there, and both crews are pretty decent. It looks like they're handling that crosswind very well, keeping those blades off of the water as they are crossing those wind tunnels, as you said earlier, Richard. That is crucial to kind of maintain that composure going through, because you don't really want to lose speed going through that, even though you may, but you want to lose less speed in comparison to the other crews.
And it looks like they are well matched stroke for stroke. Looks like they're within a beat or rating. So as we start to head down towards the last quarter of the race, the last 500 meters, let's see what these crews do in terms of the rating to try and get out ahead before the finish line.
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be a tight race, which I'm very, very excited to see. I love tight racing. I mean, because it's very competitive. I mean, in the boat as you're racing, you don't like it because, like, you're dying, but you're like, I got to give more than that one seat. If you're in one seater or two seater, continue 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, and even to the coxswain. Like, they got to be able to motivate that crew all the way to the finish line. And it looks like Endeavor will
about a half a length.
Take away with that, followed by Toronto Sculling.
And as we said, this is the D category, so no handicapping, and so
that's a clear
that
win.
should be the final. Well rowed. That was a tight race. As you say, it's those tight events that are the most exhausting, the ones that are the most draining, where neither or none of the boats want to give up the lead to the other boat.
Exactly. And it looks like we will be lining up for the next event, which will be the Men's Masters D8. In lane 1, we will have an unaffiliated crew. In lane 2, we will have Ex-Nemo again. In lane 3, we will have North Dakota. And then lane 4, we will have East Bay. And to my knowledge, I hear there are a few Olympians in the Ex-Nemo boat. In seat 5, we have Henrik Rummel. In seat 3 of that boat, we will have Steve, and forgive me if I butcher this, Kaprisic. And in seat 1, we will have Kurt Browder. And those will all be U.S. Olympians.
So the boats have until 2 minutes before their start time to be on the stake platform. Otherwise, they can be assessed a penalty. You can tell, looking at the starting line, how much of a crosswind there have. Some years with that crosswind coming through that bridge down there, you'll see the boats. Someone in the boat is constantly touching the boat to try and keep that point down the lane. And I'm seeing a little bit of that going on, but not a whole lot at this time this afternoon. So what's it like, Maurice, to be sitting at the start waiting for an important race to go off?
To be honest, like it's chaos. It's chaos on the outside and it's chaos on the inside. It's just like I don't know. It's so much that goes through your mind. Like, okay, oar needs to be in the water, or like I don't want to miss any water, because if I miss any water, I'm gonna mess up the set of the boat, and then we're gonna start slower. Like it's so much pressure, and it's like you just have to be very spot on. Like you have to be locked in. Like you really have to be locked in, especially at the start, because those strokes are so quick, and you have to be on time with that stroke seat for each of those strokes in order to effectively move that boat to the speed it needs to get at. So I don't know. You know, you've been around, so you've definitely you've had the experience of being on those state boats for years and years. So how did you manage to control your mind from just going all over the place? Like, how'd you do it?
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of sports where it's 0 to 60 instantly, and rowing's one of them. But I think what makes rowing really different, even from like track and field event, is you're warmed up, and then you're just sitting there in the boat. You're sitting there for a few minutes. You're coming up the stake boat, and you're sitting there more. So you're stationary. It's like a sprinter. You can be running around shaking it off before you go into the starting blocks. So I just focus on, I just tell myself, look, I've done this hundreds, thousands of times, and I just rely on my experience and trust the other people in the boat, and not mess up, because you can't win the race by yourself, but you can lose the race for the rest of the boat by yourself. And so we got a race here. They are off.
They are, and as you can see here on our screens, it looks like that'll be the further lane, East Bay. Pretty sure East Bay will be the green, the neon green. So you cannot miss them. You absolutely cannot miss them.
And just a reminder, this is the D category, so there's no handicapping of time in this event. All the boats are in that D age, which is the boat, if you average the ages of all of the 8 rowers, round it down, have to be in the range of 50 to 54 years.
One day I hope to still be rowing, when I get to these athletes' ages, for sure.
I'll tell you, those letters go up a lot quicker than you think they're going to.
Oof.
Just to let you know.
I told myself every time like this year I turned 29, and I told myself every year after that I'm just going to say I'm turning 29. I think I'm going to stop right there. Is that possible? Like,
you could think that, yeah. So the women's Masters D event had the women's Master D trophy. This event, the men's D, has the Founders Trophy. The Founders Trophy symbolizes the vision, persistence, and competitive spirit required to establish the San Diego Crew Classic in 1973. Those same qualities are the hallmark of Regatta Central, which is the premier provider of registration and management solutions for the rowing community. They provide innovation and customer satisfaction through full-time, dedicated support to their website, ensuring that services adapt to the changing needs and technical demands of the rowing communities. So once again, that's the Founders Trophy going to the winner of this event on the course, the men's Master D category, 8 oared shells.
And all the trophies are nice. If you're walking along the beachfront over here, if you're facing the water to the right of the San Diego Crew Classic tent, you can take a look at the trophies and read them and figure out the history, because each trophy has been around for quite some time and has some historical backgrounds to them. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yes, definitely stop by and take a look at those. And I hear you're racing tomorrow. Are you going to be bringing home one of those trophies?
I hope so.
All right.
Definitely would hope so. You always come to win. Always come to make an impression. This is the start of the season for a lot of crews. So this is where the standard is set. Or if you if you don't do so well, you mess up here. So when nationals come and beyond in trials and whatever your goal is, you learn from your mistakes in these beginning races to set you up for some success when these trial events or again nationals come up and it's time to really bring home that hardware and be the best in the country.
For most of the rowers, this regatta is the kickoff of the sprint season rowing. Sprint, by that I mean 2,000 meters for certainly collegiate and elite rowers. For masters rowers, we don't have a lot of 2,000 meter races. Most of our races are 1,000 meters, but some of them are 1,000 and 2,000 meters. Sprint racing as contrasted with what we call head racing, which is in the fall, where your races are more often in the distance of 3 or 4 miles, and that's a different type of racing than rowing a sprint race.
It really is, and I've done both of them, and the 1,000 meters it's so quick, so it's almost like there rarely is a settle. Like there may be like a 250 settle in the middle of 1,000, and then you pick it right back up. Where 2,000 meters is definitely more of a strategy, and especially when you're talking about AT and those thresholds. It is a lot different, and so you have to approach this race obviously a bit different than you would a 1K, because if you treated a 2K like a 1K, you're going to fly and die for sure.
AT being, of course, the anaerobic threshold, where your exercise, your physiology switches over from where you're burning oxygen for that output versus relying on non-oxygen sources for energy. So we've got a boat out in the lead here.
And I'm pretty sure that will be lane 2. At least that's what lane they are in right now. And that will be Ex Nemo, which will have the Olympians in it. So no shocker there.
Yes. Yeah, they could have, hard to tell from this angle, but I would call it, they could have 3 lengths of open water on that next boat behind them.
For sure.
And that looks like it is. Well, we've only got 2 boats on our screen right now, but I think
Yep,
that's
so
North Dakota we're looking at.
Yep, so that'll be North Dakota lane 3.
Look how smooth this boat is rowing. And they don't look like they're working that hard, but you know that's the sign of
Yeah,
good
that's
rowing.
right, exactly. Never show it on your face, right?
Yep. But it's nice to be in the front. It's nice to be in the lead because you're facing the back of the boat and then you can see your competition. And here they come, just about 5 more strokes before the finish line. Looking so smooth, so strong. And they are over the line. And I would call it about 5 lengths of open before the next boat. Is that our lane 3 in the white shirts?
So, yep. So that would be lane 3, followed by lane 1, which will be an unaffiliated crew.
And just about a half a length, 3/4 of a length of open water to that that unaffiliated crew has now crossed the line.
And I want to say they're from Canada. I'm pretty sure that's what the can means next to the unaffiliated crew. And I think I see a national team Canada uni of that stroke seat. And so, yeah, I'm going to assume all of those are from Canada. So you'd love to see the international competition here.
Or close to Canada, because I see a couple people from the Minnesota area there. Steve Faber, Roman Lesnau's in that boat. So that's a wrap for the men's D, men's Master D event, the Founders Trophy. And it was the Ex Nemo followed by North Dakota. That's Endert. I'm sorry. It was the unaffiliated first, then the Ex Nemo,
Yep.
then North Dakota, then East Bay. And it looks like our next race is on the starting platforms.
That would be the Men's Masters Club quad. And I'm pretty sure that San Diego Crew Classic has added some more events for the quad, which I'm actually very excited about because, you know, scullers, that's the most we can have. I mean, unless for competition-wise. So that's very exciting to see them add some more flavor to this regatta.
Yes, they're off the quadruple sculls. The first time that we've had quad races at the Crew Classic, and then this men's event, which is event E, race 6 right now. We have 11 entries, and So to accommodate 11 entries on a course with what 7 lanes, we had to break it into 2 different races called flights. So each of these is in a sense a final. It's not a heat. And typically, what was done, I think, was done here. If I'm looking at it correctly, the of those 11 entries, this event has the 5 youngest boats, and then the event we'll be seeing after this has the 6 older boats. So the boats in this category, the younger flight of the men's quads, masters quads, is there's 2 A boats and 3 C boats. So it will be an age handicapped event. The youngest boat coming in at 34 years of age with a 2-second handicap, and the oldest boat, C boat, at 49 years of age with about a 19.5-second handicap. So a difference of about 16 seconds. So maybe about 4 or 5 boat lengths between the fastest and the slowest of these entries.
Yes, and for this lane 1 in this first flight, we will have San Diego Rowing Club C. In lane 2, we will have Bayak. Lane 3, we will have Pacific A. Lane 4, Wyandotte. And lane 5, Pacific B.
And Bayak being the Bear Island Aquatic Center, and they're up in the San Francisco Bay Area out of Redwood City, California. The Pacific Club, also a San Francisco area, the west side of San Francisco, rowing on Lake Merced. Wyandotte, from Wyandotte, Michigan, the Detroit area. I think they're on the Detroit River. And then the second entry by the Pacific. San Diego has another quad entry, but that is going to be in the second flight, the event after this.
And yes, it definitely looks like we have some steering difficulties here, as you can see on the screen. It can be very, very difficult, especially in these sculling boats. How I talked about the coxswain before and those 8s. Well, in these sculling boats, that coxswain will either be the bow seat or be 2 seat. Well, bow seat and then 2 seat or 1 seat can also make the calls and split the duties, but typically it's the bow seat. So they are rowing as well as steering the boat. So much respect to each of the bow seats, especially rowing down Mission Bay, which can be very difficult with the wind speeds and the crosswind and the tide as well.
Yes, and for the non-rowers among our listeners, and I say plural because I think hopefully have more than one listener out there.
Oh, for sure.
They are steering typically the bow seat with your foot, where your right shoe is actually on a swivel, and you move your toe to the right if you want your boat to go to the right, which would be to the port side, and to the left to go to the starboard side. So it is challenging, a job only for those good at multitasking, because you are looking where the boat's going, trying to keep that boat on this course, midline between the buoy lines, managing any wind affecting the direction the boat's going, and at the same time you're remaining in sync with the rest of the rowers, steering with your toe, and of course trying to put as much power on that blade to move that boat as fast as possible. So
as well as motivating the crew.
yeah,
So,
that's right,
a lot of
making the
pressure.
calls too, because because there's no coxswain in the boat, and it's that bow seat is the one that typically is going to call the race, because the 3 people sitting in front of them, the direction they're facing, are going to be able to hear them better. So it's I find it not only physically exhausting, but it can really be mentally exhausting steering from the bow seat. How's our race shaping up here,
Yeah, so
Maurice?
it looks like we have lane 1 on our screens. That's going to be closest to the land, and then that further lane may be, I would say, maybe lane 3, lane 4. It's hard to tell because I can't
Hard
see
to tell.
the other boats, but that furthest lane is obviously leading, and it looks like they will have open water on lane 1. Right? Actually, no. From the angle now that we see, it looks like lane 1 is making a push. They are making a push through that further lane, and lane 1 looks like they're going to take it. Which
Yeah,
would
lane
be
1 San Diego, and then the other lane is out there pretty far. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe could it be the Wyandotte?
Yeah, so it could be. It could be maybe.
I'll be able to tell you in a minute. That's lane 2 and lane 3. So
And they are holding on to each other right now.
So that's
And then it
second.
looks like they're having some steering difficulties. And I'm
So
not pretty sure how the rules work, but that doesn't look too good.
no, we've got two boats that are at a dead standstill, and their oars have overlapped. I can't tell which
It's
boat
rough.
rode into another, and we weren't seeing the chase boat, so we couldn't see which way they were flagging the boats to move over. But that's unfortunate.
Very.
We did have it was Wyandotte that came in second and Bayak third,
Okay.
and it looks like it was two crews from Pacific maybe that had collided. I didn't see any
No, so
injuries.
this looks like East Bay, so that'll be the green, and then the red,
Says lane 5.
or maybe not East Bay. Sorry, I thought the green was East Bay.
Lane
My
5 is the
apologies.
Pacific. I didn't see any equipment damage. I didn't look like any rowers were injured. Of course, that's most important.
That is very important, and yes, East Bay will be. No, sorry, because this is lane 5 coming up, so that'll be Pacific B coming across the line.
Pacific in the red shirts, and I think it was
Oh, yep. So that
red
would be the
shirt.
Pacific. Yep,
Yep.
that collided. Yep, exactly.
Right. So I can't tell you what happened there because we didn't see the race before those boats were overlapping. But our next quad race is starting right now. You want to give us the lineup for that?
For sure.
Royce?
So in lane 1 we have Cambridge, and that is from Boston. Would that be Boston? Cambridge Boat Club.
Cambridge Boat Club from the Charles River, correct?
And then lane 2, Anchorage, Alaska. Lane 3 we'll have San Diego Rowing Club A. Lane 4, Newport Sea Base. Lane 5, Cambridge B, and lane 6, Texas Rowing Center.
So two boats from Cambridge Boat Club in Boston. Newport Sea Base is from right up at the coast, Newport Beach, California. The Texas Rowing Center for rowing out of Austin. I think that's the Lady Bird Lake there. And again, this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is the older of the older 6 entries in this 2-flight event of men's masters quadruple sculls. The 6 boats in this flight range from D to G. The youngest boat coming in at 54 years old and the oldest at 66. So there will be some time handicapping. Actually, 32 seconds between the with the youngest boat giving that amount of time to the oldest boat. So again, quite a distance in terms of space on the water.
You would say, like, what would that be, like a boat lift and a half with the, you said 5 seconds? So
It's about 4 seconds for an 8.
Okay.
Maybe a little quicker for the quads. They're not quite as long.
Right,
So,
very
yeah.
true, very true.
And we don't have a view of how the race is shaping up right now.
Here we go. It looks like they are
Just
coming across that second half of the race, I would assume, based off of our angle.
so a lot of rowers will mentally, for a 2K race, think about it like in 4 sections, the 4 500 meters.
Same.
The first 500 meters is, your start. It's getting that boat up to speed, settling into your base rate. And then as you move into your second 500 meters, it's basically developing that swing of the boat, trying to maximize the distance the boat is moving for each stroke. Third 500 is it's the hardest, I think, because that's when the bodies starting crying out, wanting more oxygen, and so
That
that's
lactic acid buildup.
that's the mental one, right?
It is. It really is. But to be honest, I feel like that is what you have to train for, that third 500.
Mhm.
That is because if you can withstand the pain more than that other crew, you're in pretty decent shape.
And then the last 500, always good to see those markers go by because you're 3/4 of the way done. And depending on where you are in relation to the other boats, you're probably going to be starting a sprint somewhere around 300, 350, 250 to go. And by that I mean taking the rating up, trying to make the boat go faster for the higher ratings.
So, Richard, I do have a question for you. Speaking of that last sprint, so a lot of crews, especially ones with coxswains, they will have a special saying to their crew for that last bit to kind of motivate. What has been your favorite saying for that last 300 to kind of get you through to the finish line?
I don't have one really. Yeah, I know some crews do that. I mean, we just basically are just focusing on trying to keep it all together and keep it going as fast as possible.
Yeah, I know. In high school, I had a coach L, who pretty much told us that if we didn't see Jesus at
Oh
the
yeah,
in that last 300, we didn't do it right. So that was our our motivation for that end of the
yep.
finish
I
line.
I did have a coxswain who was very fond of that saying. Yep, yep. It's you can start to go into that little bit of tunnel vision there. Your body's getting starved for oxygen, and you're starting to lose that peripheral vision.
hmm So it looks like we'll be approaching the last half of the race, and just based off of what we see on the time, this will be the last at least last 500 um, of this race.
6 boats in this race.
And we have a pretty decent spread here. And we do have found a credit card up at the San Diego booth. So if your name is Valerie DeSanta, please collect your card and just bring your ID so we can verify. Thank you.
I'm looking at lane 6 on our screen right now. That's going to be the boat farthest away from the shore. We're sitting on the west side, and that might have been the boat
So,
out in front.
yep, so that looks like Texas. I'm pretty sure that's their I want to say.
It is.
Yep, so
Uh-huh.
that'll be Texas. It's very, very distinctive. with
State
the
of Texas.
with the
Yep.
Texas flag.
Yep. They're looking very efficient for their rating. I don't think they've taken the rating up, or if so, not much. And they just got the horn, and
Mhm.
they have about 3.5 lengths
And
over the next boat, which looks like Cambridge in lane 5. Is
Yep,
that right?
yep. And then closest to us coming up for third will be lane 1, which is Cambridge J. And then San Diego, it looks like, and they will be in lane 3.
We've got two boats still on the course.
Yep. So this will be Anchorage and Newport Sea Base here. I believe Newport Sea Base is the further boat, and then Anchorage is the one closest to us, and those pretty decent unis it got there. It says Alaska, so you will not be mistaken where they come from.
And it looks like they've got a little two-boat race going on here. So who's going to get to the finish line first?
You know, they got to show off a little bit with this semi-warm weather here in comparison to Alaska. So
Sweltering. Yeah, this looks really close. We'll see how that angle opens up as they get down to the finish line.
for sure. And it looks like they have about 2 seats on the other crew, and they are opening it up. And now they have walked away and are taking away pretty much open water here, with
Just
Anchorage finishing 5th, and then Newport Sea Base finishing right after.
And that's a wrap for the Men's Masters Club Quadruple Sculls. The first time we've seen the Quadruple Sculls racing at the San Diego Crew Classic.
And then next up now, which has now underway, we will have the Women's Masters Club Quad event, and this will be in lane 1, San Diego Rowing Club, lane 2, ZLAC, lane 3, Capital, lane 4, Lake Washington, lane 5, College Club Seattle, and lane 6, Texas Rowing Center.
13 entries in the Women's Masters Club event. So again, divided into 2 different flights, each flight considered a final. And this first flight is the younger 6 of the entries, ranging from the B category up to D, ranging in age from 42 to 53 years old. ZLAC is a women's only club here on Mission Bay, founded in, I think it was 1892. It's
Wow.
supposedly the oldest women's rowing club in the world.
That's cool.
The four letters ZLAC stand for the first initials of the first names of the four founding women, which was Zulette, Lena, Agnes, and Caroline. So that's
Oh, cool.
Zlac Rowing Club. Capital rowing out of the Anacostia River in Washington, D.C. Lake Washington in Seattle, Washington. The College Club Seattle on Lake Union in Seattle. And Texas Rowing again out of Austin.
So got some Seattle,
Yes.
representation here. Lake Union, very beautiful course. And Texas again, coming from warmer waters.
And then close to home here, the San Diego interclub rivalry between the San Diego Rowing Club and Zlac Rowing, lanes 1 and 2 respectively.
Love it. So, you love to see the home teams, the home course, and see if that is an advantage to them, as this is their battlegrounds.
Mm-hmm.
So they know how the winds work, they know how the tide works, and so let's see if they can use that to their advantage.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the tides, but we talked about the winds and that being a factor. But we do have tidal current here in San Diego. And let's see, I think we looked at that earlier, and I think we had we had a low tide just before the start of racing today. So that means tide should be coming in, not at its peak flow right now. So a little boost from behind. No trophies or cups for these quad races yet, this being the first year they've had them, but I would guess we'll see in the coming years some trophies and cups being put up for these events. Assuming certainly like to see them become a regular occurrence in the San Diego Crew Classic.
New shiny things.
Yep.
And it looks like right now, based off of time, we will probably be on the second half of this 2K here. And coming in, it looks like we have a bit of open space between the crews here. Unable to tell who's in front.
Hard to tell from here. Certainly.
But we will know shortly. You gotta love these angles. It's so hard to get like a good picture angle to actually tell exactly who's in front, unless you're just following alongside of these crews. And it looks like we have a crew cutting across the course.
Yes, we have a crew that has.
Not sure what that's about.
It's like about a 45-degree angle. I know.
Yeah.
I've seen this happen before, where the coxswains actually they get turned and then they see the buoys lined up, but it's on a diagonal. Well, now they're correcting back.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that can be very scary, especially if they're going into the other lanes and you have another crew coming full force. That will not be a pretty sight.
Fortunately, I did not see them near any other crews, so I don't think any other crews had to alter their course at all.
Sweet. But again, it goes to show how difficult this course can be.
It's going to make it harder for us to tell what lane that was in.
Very true.
Until they get close enough that we can see the lane numbers on their bow. 'Cause I don't think they're in the same order they started the race. This lane 2 and 3 boats look like they are starting to merge a little bit there too.
Exactly.
Or could it just be the angle, but I'm not sure. But that boat on the outside of the course could be the angle, but they
look like they have open
looking
water
good.
here.
Yep. If that's the case, very preliminary, that could be the boat from Texas.
You know, Texas got it good too. They can row all year round. So very jealous of that.
And that Texas boat in lane 6 is Tracy Falkenthal, Susan Morse, Christina Sheffington, and Tina Woodhart.
Yes. Yeah, it looks like, I mean, by this angle, it doesn't look like they're going to walk away as easy. because we have, as you can see on the screen, the lane closest to us. It looks like they're still holding on a little bit. Maybe not. Yeah, okay,
We
that
can't
kind of looks
quite
like,
make out
yeah,
that.
that's hard. Never mind.
Can't make out that bow number yet. Now
Yeah,
it looks
so
like
they're
lane
definitely in
6.
front.
Lane
Yep.
6 in the lead. Lane 4. Looks like lane 4 is in second place, and that would be the Lake Washington crew.
And shout out to Tracy. I do know Tracy, so I do
know
have
Tracy
a
too. Yes,
friend in this race.
I recognize Tracy from this distance. Yeah.
Oh, it looks like they are going neck and neck now.
Yes.
So I was right.
Texas and Lake Washington, and it looks like Lake Washington may be a little bit ahead.
And it looks like lane 2 will be also closing in as well, but they will not be enough room for them to catch that first place crew.
But those first 3 boats, they all had overlap.
Very close.
A very tight race. That was the tightest race we've seen so far.
It is.
And now the San Diego boat crossing in 4th place.
As you guys can see, by the time, if you're looking at the screen, it's about 2 seconds difference. So would you say that very, very 2 seats? 2 seats, 3 seats?
Yes. Again, this is a age handicapped race.
Oh.
So let's see. So we had
So Lake Washington came in first,
yes.
and there was a 2-second difference between first and second, which was Texas.
And the difference in their handicapping was 10 seconds. So there you go.
And
so
who
Texas
got the handicap?
Texas had to give 10 seconds to Lake Washington.
So Lake Washington won outright.
Yes, it appears so, yeah. And then the 3rd place boat we looked at was which one again? You remember?
So
we're not seeing it on our screen anymore.
No, we are not. And we are now underway with our second flight for the day for the Women's Masters Club Quad. In lane 1, we will have Cambridge. Lane 2, Endeavor Racing. Lane 3, San Diego Rowing Club. Lane 4, Channel Islands. Lane 5, Anchorage. Lane 6, Bayak. Lane 7, Otsko Area Rowing. And I think they are from Canada? Am I saying that right?
Otsego, yes.
Otsego? Okay.
Well, actually, they're from Cooperstown, New York.
Oh, is that?
Lake
Why did
Otsego.
I think that was Canada?
Yeah.
It's a nice name, though. I like the name.
Cambridge, of course, Charles River, Cambridge, Boston area. Endeavor Racing, based in Mesa, Arizona, but pulling their rowers from across the country in Canada. San Diego Rowing Club, one of our home clubs here. Channel Islands Rowing from the Channel Islands Harbor in Oxnard, California. Anchorage, we've seen them. One of their 5 events here, 5 entries here in the Crew Classic. Bayak again, Bear Island.
And I'm seeing like some familiar names. The stroke seat for Endeavor Racing, Shannon Kaplan from Boathouse Row. I am a Boathouse Row rower, born and raised in Philadelphia, and so I got a special place for anybody from Boathouse Row. Shannon Kaplan. She's been in quite a few clubs, but I believe Penn AC is her home club right now.
And these.
And Sherry. I know Sherry Klein too.
Sherry
so
Klein.
that Endeavor boat is going to be pretty quick. I can say.
And I can vouch for Cassandra Cunningham. So.
So hey, there you go.
We'll see. So the 7 boats in this event are the average age older than the first flight. 1 C boat, 5 D boats, and 1 E boat. So the youngest age we're seeing in this event is 49, and the oldest is looks like a 56. About 14 overall seconds handicap between the youngest and the oldest of the boats.
And again, with these ages, is really cool to see, because it doesn't matter if you're, like probably the youngest rower here is probably they're juniors, so maybe 13, 14, and then you have going all the way up till, you probably, I know people that rowed in their 90s, and so rowing can be for anybody. It doesn't really matter, what you see as a fitness level, because you can be fit at an older age as well. And so it's really, really cool to see that I have a lifetime to do the sport.
I agree. Rowing it's a great sport for a number of reasons. It's one of the few total body rowing sports, along with like swimming and cross country. We're using upper body, lower body, core, strength, and endurance, and it's a weight supported sport. So, unlike say sports like running, where tend to wear those weight bearing joints out, a lot of people ending up with knee and hip replacements. We're not seeing that really due to rowing, and it's a lot safer than being on a bicycle in today's roads as well.
For
So
sure. And I can say, and no bias or anything, but I guarantee you that I will put any amount of money on a rower's fitness in their age category in comparison to somebody that does any other sport at that same age. They're probably more fit than their age counterpart. So it's really that total body workout. It really goes very, very far in terms of fitness. And again, anybody of any age can do it, and I'm sure you're a fine specimen in this sport, as you've been around, doing this for some time, and so hopefully I get like you when I get older.
thank you for the compliment. And the age handicapping we're talking about, of course, is the U.S. Rowing Association. Their standard formula based on a lot of data, but that data was from, I understand, decades ago. So oftentimes you'll hear discussion about whether those handicaps are actually fair now, in that there's general feeling that people are staying fitter longer into later life.
For sure. And I mean, there's guys. I mean, I commentated for the indoor national championships, and you had an individual, I believe he was 53, pull like a sub 6. It was like 5:55, something crazy. He broke the world record at World Indoors. But just to know that he did that at age, like I believe he's like either 52 or 53, is just insane. And I'm going to get his name because he's just a great guy and he deserves some recognition for sure. Putting on for the U.S. of A.
And as you mentioned earlier, we do see rowers competing into their 80s or occasionally even their 90s. I remember usually at the Masters Nationals rowing regatta, they'll recognize those people, and it's not unusual to see 8 or 10 people all in their 80s. In fact, I remember a few years ago there was a men's 8 entry, and it was all octogenarians. Very impressive.
And so we will be on that last half of that race, maybe that end of that third 500, as we talked about that crucial and pain cave of a 500.
Looks like we've got 3 boats in the front of the pack and 3 boats behind. Maybe one of those boats struggling with the course a little bit in terms of staying pointed. So I think it's that Cambridge boat in lane 1 is definitely in the top 3, and then it might be lane 2, Endeavor Racing in the lead, and then a crew towards the outside. Let's see if I can make out a bow number on that.
Yes, and as they're zooming in, this will be lane 3, San Diego Rowing Club.
Lane 3, San Diego Rowing Club. So lane 3, that lineup is Julie Collins, Katrina Sikowski, Sally Scoville, and Anne-Marie Deswagen. You think it look like they're in the lead, that San Diego boat?
Yes, based off the screen here, it looks like they have some open water from lane 2.
About a length of open water as they're coming down right to the finish line now. Lane 2 is that Endeavor Racing Alliance, Shannon Kaplan, Cassandra Cunningham, Rudy Sudduth, and Sherry Klein.
See, and it looks like we were right with our assessment there.
Yep. But a really strong showing in that San Diego boat to have a little open water on them. A little distance here between our 3rd place boat coming up, and that's going to be in our outer lane. It looks like it's either Bayak or Otsega. It is Bayak. So Bear Island coming in third place. Sharon Weinbar, Athena Bradley, Renata Perry, and Nadise Cooper.
And yes, followed by lane 1, which will be Cambridge.
Lane 5 coming down the line. That's Anchorage crossing right now. And working hard towards the finish line with about 50 meters to go or so is our boat from Anchorage, Alaska.
Here we go. Yes. So I found the individual, Andrew Benko. So I believe he pulled it was a 6:10 at U.S. Indoor Championships, and then he went to Worlds and broke his own record again at World Indoors. So Andrew Benko, ladies and gentlemen, and he is, I believe he's 52 years old, sub 6.
Beyond impressive. Hard to imagine. Our next race is off, and this is our men's Masters F and G final. So in this event, we have 2 F boats and 1 G boat. Lane 1 is an F boat. It's a composite boat, Sacramento, Long Beach, Lake Washington, Rocky Mountain. And then lane 2 is Kent Mitchell. That would be a composite boat, Rolodex, if you will. Generally former national team Olympic rowers. And then lane 3 is the USD Alumni boat. So with 2 F boats and 1 G boat, generally this is 2 events in one. I think that there'll be 1 winner declared among the 2 F boats, and then the G boat basically racing by themselves, but obviously wanting to have a strong showing against the 2 F boats.
For sure. Again, it's very boring and painful to be racing by yourself. So I'm glad they're lining up with some other folks here.
And each of these categories does have a trophy associated with it. The men's Masters F category has a Grand Masters Orlock trophy. The participants of this event are a testament that rowing is a lifelong sport. The Crew Classic is especially proud of them and salutes their enduring friendships as much as their competitive drive. The men's G Masters category is the Gaboomer Trophy, sponsored by Dave Frost, a rower from San Diego, competing with Ender and USD alum at this event. Dave rowed for the Navy crew.
Go Navy, beat Army.
Yeah. I come from a family of West Pointers, I'll have you know.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I did go to the Naval Academy, so I'm going to have to be on the opposite side of that.
Oh, my. Okay, we're moving apart at this table right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you see our tent, going every which way, just don't mind it at all. We're just having a tough love talk.
Thank you for your service. I appreciate it. Yeah. So Dave rowed for the Navy in the first Crew Classic in 1974. He's competed in collegiate freedom rows and masters events on Mission Bay for 4+ decades, a lot of those in boats with me. And
Nice.
Has put up this trophy for the men's G category.
Nice. Long-lasting friendships. Another plus to this wonderful sport, right?
Annapolis.
Annapolis, Maryland. The Severin.
Well,
That was the first time I ever rode in salt water. That was all brand new to me, and like the salt that like gets into like the seat slide and having to tend to that. I was on the Schuylkill River growing up, and so obviously that's fresh water. We didn't have to worry about like the buildup, the salt buildup, and so that was the first time I learned how to tend and care for boats that row in salt water.
and it is a problem here on Mission Bay. Our The boat's two greatest enemies are saltwater and sand, so we got to rinse those boats off really well.
It's a double whammy.
Yeah. By the way, my uncle went to Annapolis, so it's not all bad.
Hey, what is it? Like the world is 95% water. Don't quote me on that, but or something like that.
We're looking at the USD Alum boat. That's our Lane 3 boat. It's the only boat in our view, so I'm not sure if they're out in the lead, but they are looking very strong.
Very, very strong. And as you can see on our screen, the one closest to the coxswain, that'll be seat 8 and going back 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And typically you have your stern pair, which is 8 and 7. And then you'll have what they call the engine room, which will be your 6, 5, 4, 3. And then you will have your bow pair in the back. And typically that middle 4 is going to be the strongest of your crew. And then typically that bow pair will be pretty much the most technically sound. And then that front pair, which, you know, good at following, good at rhythm, and able to keep that tempo of that boat.
So their USD boat is our first boat across the line, commanding lead over the next place boat.
And that will be a lane 2, if I'm not mistaken here.
Lane 2.
And that'll be
That's
Kent
right.
Mitchell.
That's our Kent Mitchell boat. That's
Yep.
our G boat. So
And then followed by lane 1, which will be Sack.
So Kent Mitchell, being the only G boat, should go home, I believe, with the Kaboomer Trophy, and the USD Alum over that composite boat should be taking home the Grandmasters Orlock Trophy.
Love it. And it looks like we are off with the next event, which will be the Women's Masters FGH&I. And in lane 1, we will have Endeavor Racing. Lane 2, we will have Sack Wimbleball, which looks like it would be a composite crew. Lane 3 will be San Diego Rowing Club. And lane 4, we will have Portland Boat Club.
And similar to our men's event, we've got two different age categories in this one race. The Endeavor Racing in lane 1 is an F boat, and I show the other 3 boats. That's lane 2, 3, and 4 in the G category. F boat being 60 to 64 years average age, and G being 65 to 69 average age.
And the cool thing about it, I know Endeavor, they are notorious for doing that. They pretty much bring people from all around the area, all around the states to come and race. And that's what, you know, kind of what rowing does. It brings a lot of people together from all different backgrounds and states, cultures, and bring all together for this one race. So it's really cool to see them hop into that boat with that one goal, one stroke, and that one mission to win.
So true. We come to these regattas and run into people we haven't seen for a year, and we renew those friendships. So we've got 2 trophies up in this regatta as well. The women's Masters F category has the Campland on the Bay trophy, Campland being one of the sponsors for the San Diego Crew Classic. Sports in front are traditions at mission-based Campland on the Bay, which congratulates women's rowers aged 60 and older who exemplify the joys and rewards of rowing and an active lifestyle. And then for the women's Masters G category, the K Porter Cup.
So right now, based upon the time that we have here, they may be crossing in that middle 1,000 right now. And so we are not able to see it on the screen, but probably in the next, I would say, 2 to 3 minutes, we will see them start to cross over into that second half of the race.
So that Endeavor Racing again, pulling rowers from across the U.S. and Canada, based out of Mesa, Arizona. And the Portland Boat Club rowing out of the Willamette River in Portland, Oregon.
And probably one more minute here, and then we'll start to see the boats coming across the screen, most likely. And again, you love the backdrop. Like I love how the houses are pretty much on a hill, and so you kind of got a pretty sick like a pretty sick photo if you know you're taking pictures on the sideline or the beach. Like,
Hmm.
make sure you get those good angles for the gram because it'll be really nice, and you'll get those likes up.
And then turning your head a little bit to the south, you can see the skyline for downtown San Diego.
For sure. And the mountains in the background. Come on, I don't. It's hard to beat this backdrop. It really is.
This is a saltwater estuary, and occasionally we are treated to uh, sea life mammals here.
Ooh.
Not too, I mean, we frequently will see seals, but it's always a pleasure when you're out and see a couple dolphins swimming alongside your boat. Sometimes a whole pod or school of dolphins, whatever the correct term is for that.
Ooh. And see some of the waterways I trained in Sydney, Australia, and apparently where we trained at was a shark breeding ground.
Huh.
So yeah, that was fun. On top of seeing jellyfish as we were rowing, so definitely did not want to fall in, which I did, but thank God I didn't get stung or eaten by a shark.
You've been down to the Nathan Benderson facility
So
down in
nice.
Sarasota.
Oh, it's so nice. I heard there's gators in there.
There's gators in there.
Oof.
We were lined up for an event, and there was a scratch boat, so an open lane. And I kid you not, you're thinking I'm making this up. I looked right next to me, right where the 5 seat would be. This big old gator just lying there right in the
No
water.
way.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do. I probably row faster. That might be my motivation.
Just not catch a crab and not an ejection crab.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's when the oar gets stuck into the water, and it kind of takes you up. I don't. There's not many people that can beat a crab. It's very hard, but it can be done. It's just all a matter of the angle of which you kind of got to pull it out, and keep rowing. Maybe caught one or two of those in my career.
The blade goes deep, and if that oar handle catches you right under your
Oh, you're
rib
going.
cage, it can rip you right out of your shoes and throw you into the water before you can blink an eye. So it looks like in our event, which is just coming into view, which means they're coming up to the 1,000 meter halfway through the race. It looks like our inside, and you've got an inside lane boat and an outside lane boat that looks like they're leading the pack. I can't see lane numbers quite yet.
Yeah, but that looks like that'll be actually no, because we do have a lane 1 that's coming up, so that may be a lane 2 that may be in the league right now.
Yeah, because there's
Should that
our
be
lane 1
Sac?
right there.
Yep,
Yes,
that's our lane 1, so that might be Sac that is leading the pack right now.
followed by Potomac, or followed by Portland in lane 4, perhaps,
Yep.
with our lane.
And it's interesting, as you can tell on the screen, that lane 2 here, it's like they're riding forward, but like at an angle. Like you can see the boat moving forward, but they are pointed across.
And that would be because they're
'Cause of that wind.
dealing with that crosswind.
Yep.
Not an efficient way in terms of boat speed, but what you need to do in terms of staying within your lane.
Exactly. You do not want to be caught for interference of another boat's race, for sure.
It's looking more and more like that lane 2 boat is leading the pack, probably with open water. We'll know more in a few seconds.
And then it may be like a tight race for second here. We have our closest boat right now, which will be Endeavor Racing, and I want to say that'll be lane 4, and the furthest boat will be Portland. Yeah, I think that's lane 4. So once they get up closer, we'll be able to see the distance. But we can definitely tell you guys right now that lane 2 is leading the pack here, and they are they're in that third that fourth 500 cross coming towards the line here very, very shortly.
And that's one of our G boats, and it's not the F boat in the event. That's lane 2.
And as you can see on the screen, they're very, very, very controlled in this boat. There's not 8 different strokes. There's 1 stroke in there coming across the line, and so again, not surprised that they are in the front right now. Very, very good technique. And then we have lane one that is very, very close behind, um, and that will be Endeavor Racing.
About a half a length, maybe a little more open water between our number one place boat and Endeavor, but Endeavor is our F category boat.
And it is not the times you see on the screen right here. This is not the Men's 8 Alumni Cup, so do not pay attention to that.
No, nope. That's the next race coming up, isn't it? Yeah,
That
so,
is.
okay, we got a little electronic glitch here. And what lane was that, Maurice?
So that one was lane 4, Portland Boat Club.
Portland.
Yep.
Okay.
And then it looks like we have lane 3,
So
San
from
Diego Rowing Club coming up.
So for the 3G category boats, it looks like we had the composite boat, Sacramento, Wimbledon, Long Beach, coming in first, followed by Portland Boat Club, followed by San Diego Rowing Club, again in the G category. Congratulations for a race well rowed by the Women's Masters F and G.
And then next, we will have the Men's 8 Alumni Cup, which will be alumni from UCSB. What is that? University of California? And Club Nautico de San Juan, which I was told is alumni boat for Brown University. And then we will have a UCSB boat in lane 3.
Yeah, the Isla Vista boats are UC Santa Barbara.
UC Santa Barbara, yes.
Right.
There we go.
Obviously then from Santa Barbara, California.
And so obviously pretty big schools, pretty big rowing schools, I would say.
I show they have 2 entries, so I think it could be their only 2 entries are in this one event.
I mean, I'm kind of shocked that they were able to put together 2 full 8s of alumni from UCSB, which means they have a pretty big and dedicated program.
Yeah, we'll see how much depth they have
For
as
sure.
judged by the time difference between these 2 8s.
For sure.
So I believe that we have also mixed categories here. I think we have 2 A boats and a B boat, so it's not clear to me. It is one cup, whether there'll be some time handicapping. And I don't have ages of the boats either, so.
And the difference between the handicap, what would that be? Like 5, between the A and B, would that be
Not a lot.
5 seconds maybe?
Not a lot because it's not a linear scale. You know,
Right.
in the 50s, it's about, for every year, it's about 1 second per 1,000 meters. So for
Got
a
it.
2,000 meter course, it's about 2 seconds. But you get down into the 30s, it's about a half a second difference.
Oh, so it's probably
So
going to be less than 5 then.
Yeah, so over a 2,000 meter course, it would be 1 second for every year.
So pretty much, even if this will be a pretty much full on
Yeah.
race here,
So,
because a second maybe what, a bow ball?
well, for if there's a 5-year age difference, it would be basically a length and a half boat length
yeah.
difference. Yeah. I don't know if the heat sheets are accurate in terms of the lineups, but as I was looking them over for this Club Nautica de San Juan, they listed the stroke the same for 2 of the 8s and 1 of the quads this afternoon. So a shout out, if that's true, a shout out to Igor Baraska, who may be stroking 3 different boats over the span of our 2 hours of races this afternoon.
Yeah, I know a few people that are racing like 2 to 3 or 3 times, 3 to 4 times, and I'm just like, that's dedication right there. I mean, that's very.
It's also a testament to endurance and training and conditioning to be able to maintain that.
And especially on this course, I mean, this isn't a flat. This is not the perfect, the ideal conditions. So you're fighting against the wind. So those stabilizing muscles you're also utilizing while using the normal muscles for regular rowing. So
our boats are coming into view. You see all 3 boats coming down to the halfway point in the race. It looks like the winds may have started to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. And as you can see on your screen, it's pretty cool to see. And I learned this last week with the direction the water is going. You can see like different parts of the water is going in like different directions. Like you'll have some cutting across, and then you'll have some that's flat. Um, and that's a testament of wind direction, as you can see, because it's going across. I learned that in sailing in New Zealand, which was pretty cool. They told me how to read the water, and I'm not a pro by any means, but that's one thing I do remember. So, I mean, it's very, very obvious, but I wasn't thinking about that.
So I can tell you the Lane 2 boat, the Club Nautica boat, is ahead of Lane 3, the Isla Vista. It looks like they may have a lead. Oh, the Isla Vista boat in Isla Vista boat in Lane 1 as well. Still can't see them outside the monitor yet.
Yeah, but it looks like they will be leading, but they are not super far in front. Lane 1 is trying to hold on to that stern deck.
Oh, this is tight. It looks like we've got overlap between.
We do.
Yep.
We absolutely do. And it looks like Lane 1 is trying to pick it up. And will they have enough room to do that? I don't know. Lane 2 is holding on, and I think Lane 2 is going to walk away with this one, followed by Lane 1 very close behind.
That was close. Maybe 3-4 seats tops.
Yep.
So Lane 2 was our first boat across the line. It's shown as an A boat. And then also Lane 1. So that would have been the A event. Based on the information I have to me, that Lane 3 boat, the other Isla Vista boat, is a B category boat.
Ah. So they will be the ones with the handicap, the slight handicap.
If they're handicapping the race versus
If they are,
just scoring the event A and B separately. And they are now across the line, which is a wrap on race number 12, which was the men's 8 Alumni Cup final.
And next we will have the women's 8 Alumni, Suzanne Francia, familiar name. For Suzanne Francia trophy, we will have in Lane 1 San Diego alumni from San Diego State, Lane 2 unaffiliated, Lane 3 UC Berkeley, Lane 4 USC alumni. And I want to figure out what school Lane 3 is.
It's UC Berkeley.
Or sorry, not
Yep.
Lane 3, Lane. Oh yeah, that is Lane 3. Sorry.
Yep.
The unaffiliated school. For Lane 2, I want to figure out what school that is. I'm curious. Actually, you know what? I think I see a UW boat there, and I see purple. So this may be a UW alumni.
I did see that on another sheet. I did see that listed as a University of Washington alumni.
Go Huskies.
Not sure if that's accurate. And if that's true, of course, they're from Conibear, Lake Union in Seattle.
So yeah, shout out to the Huskies, Go Dogs.
So all 4 boats are A boats, so don't expect any handicapping in this event. And winner will take the Susan Francia Cup, as we mentioned earlier. Susan Francia is a 2-time gold medal Olympic rower, triumphing in London in 2012 and Beijing in 2008 in the U.S. Women's 8.
So teammates with Lindsay Shoup and part of that dynasty, of one of the greatest teams to ever do it in the Olympics, not just the United States, but the Olympics. Dominant, I mean, spanning back how many years? 12, 16? Love to see it. I got a feeling this is going to be a pretty fast race here. I mean, first off, you have these are all A boats, so they're still in their younger years, and then these are pretty big schools here as well. So all D1 universities and pretty big in the rowing. I mean, University of Washington, UC Berkeley, USC, all pretty big schools. So I'm definitely expecting to see some pretty fast times here.
And that A category, once again, that all 8 rowers in the boat will average in that 27 to 35 year range.
See, and I'm pretty sure like once we'll be able to see them on the screen, a lot of these boats are going to have some pretty decent technique, I would also say, because again the pretty big time schools here for rowing, and I'm pretty sure their coaches are, or their former coaches are watching this and going to critique them. So I think they're going to try to show off a little bit here to show they still got it, or even if we have some national team members in these boats to
So
show
true.
their mark.
As is typical, we get into the afternoon, a little after 4:30 right now, and the winds are starting to diminish. You can tell by the water was looking flatter and flatter, and when we can see the flags on the course, they're not waving, they're not flapping as furiously as they were an hour or two ago.
So these boats here will probably be in that middle 500 just based off of the time we're at 3 minutes 26 seconds right now, and so they'll probably be in that middle part of that piece right now. And it looks like our first boat is coming into view here, and that looks like that could be San Diego, I'm assuming, and we're not sure who's in front right now, but the first boat we see on the camera will be San Diego Alumni of San Diego State.
And just to remind everyone, this is just our first of 3 days of racing this weekend. So when we wrap up this afternoon, racing will kick off again tomorrow, Saturday morning. The first race is at 7:15 in the morning. And racing all days, lots of heats and preliminary races tomorrow. And then on Sunday, racing starting again at 7:15 in the morning, with a whole day of finals wrapping up around 3:15 or so in the afternoon. So hope to see you all back to enjoy the beautiful San Diego weather and 2 full days of racing after we wrap up today.
Absolutely. It looks like, I mean, I want to say, it looks like by the angle it could be a close race.
It
But
looks
it's kind of
close.
hard. It's kind of hard to tell. So as I can see from this camera angle, I mean, these catches are looking pretty spiffy here. Coming up through this last bit of the race. So again, very awesome of these crews, especially out of college. I mean, I'm not sure if any of them are still rowing or whatnot, but again, coming from these universities, big time rowing universities here, not surprised to see their technique and how well they're rowing together. Nice little V splash, love it. Getting that good catch angle. That's what I mean by that V splash, getting locked in at that catch.
These look like cow blades here in this crew.
It does.
So that would be our lane 3, and then outside of them would be the USC alumni. And they look like they're, again, hard to tell from the angle, but they look like they're in a tight race from where we sit right now.
For sure. Yes, now we were able to get a good angle or pretty decent angle here. So yeah, we have lane 3 and lane 4 holding on to each other right here, and it looks like just by this angle, I mean, I can't even tell actually, because that's actually pretty close.
Yeah,
I
it may
cannot tell.
it may open up a little bit as the angle improves for us, but they look like they're
I'm
neck
really
and neck.
excited. This one, I think, is gonna. This one's gonna be really close.
I think 3 is starting to move
Pull
out.
off a little bit,
Part
maybe.
of that's the angle, but yep. Yep, it looks
Yep.
like they get about half a length, and moving away.
They are. So they're picking up that sprint. That last 250 or last 300, as you said, is very, very crucial, especially if you're very close to a crew. It can really, I mean, who has the last bit of gas in the tank?
Yep. So it's going to be Berkeley. Those Berkeley alumni with about a seat or two.
Followed by USC here, and then in third we will have that UW crew coming across the line.
Just about a length of open to that third place boat. Our next race is off. And that would be our race number 14, event number 5. This is our Women's Masters A. So no handicapping in this event. All 3 boats are in the A category, ages 27 to 35. In lane 1, we have the USD Alumni boat, lane 2, San Diego Rowing Club, and lane 3, Endeavor Racing Alliance. This event is racing for the Duke Robinson Trophy. Duke Robinson was Patty Wyatt's one of her sons, and this trophy, the Duke Robinson Memorial Cup, goes to the winner of the Women's Master A. Duke had been involved with the San Diego Crew Classic since its inaugural race on Sail Bay in 1973. He installed the lane buoys on the very first course and held the director roles in both water operations and race operations. And we should digress for a minute and just mention how many hundreds of volunteers it takes to pull off this regatta, and thank all the volunteers for making that happen. To quote Brad Smith, quote, Duke ran the whole flippin' thing. Duke was a boater, a seaman. He understood the water. Coupled with his great organizational skills, Duke helped to build the regatta to what it is today. For 42 years after setting the first course, Duke continued to direct the water operations and preparations for the regatta. Above all else, Duke carried forward the guidelines set by his mother, Patty Wyatt, to promote fair racing for all concerned. Duke is a legend in every sense of the word.
Love it. And yes, let's go back again to thinking of volunteers of the San Diego Crew Classic. I mean, it takes a lot to put this together. I mean, special shout out to Bobby and Megan, who have been, running the show and coordinating things to make this happen. So thank you guys for putting in the time and work, because this is an amazing event as we start off this awesome weekend.
Absolutely. Can't tell you how this race is unfolding because we don't have a view of the course at this point. But as soon as we have some information, we'll share that.
For sure. And whenever you're done, as long as you're above age, you can check out the beer garden over but at the end of the beach. After you're done racing or before you're racing, whatever suits you best.
Often the best place to reconnect with those people you haven't seen for months or a year.
Especially after a 2K. Be nice to kind of sip and have a drink and then have this nice little backdrop to finish off the racing of the day.
And start that all-important rehydration.
Some will say that's why they really have come to this regatta, not to race, but for the beer garden and the views.
So that USD boat is stroked by Kira Palmer. The San Diego Rowing Club boat is stroked by Kenza McCarahan, and the Endeavor Racing Alliance boat being stroked by Erica McCormick. Our second last race of the day coming down the course. Oh, I stand corrected. We have more events after this?
So yes, I believe it's
Men's
the
Masters
Men's Masters
A
Day. Yep,
Is our
that'll be the last race.
the last race?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is our what we're looking at is the second to last.
Yep.
Okay.
And as we're approaching, it looks like we're going to be approaching that third 500. Again, just based off of the time here, most likely in that third 500. So doesn't look too bad of a distance between the two crews, at least what we see on the screen here. And again, it looks like the closest crew to our screen, and I want to say that San Diego is also kind of riding up on the side here, trying to get that bow ball into the wind a little bit.
I think this is our Endeavor crew on the outside.
Yep.
With the orange turquoise blades.
And then, yep, that'll be Endeavor, and then the closest one to us in lane 1 will be San Diego.
And then we've got the San Diego Rowing Club in this event, and then the crew shown as San Diego. A little bit confusing because that would be the University of San Diego alum, but sometimes just denoted by the shorthand San Diego.
And they're now going to be approaching that last 500 of the race here. And that is, I believe, would that be the red buoys? I'm pretty sure. Actually, that might be the 250. Might be the 250. How I see it is when all the buoys turn red, that means you see red and you just go.
Yeah, there's a large buoy on the outside of the course to denote every 500. But you're right, you get into the last 250 and
Yep, that's the
the lane buoys turn to usually red. But I don't see them. Oh yeah, they're in the 250 now.
Yep, easy enough. So yes, the red buoys, once the buoys turn red all the way down, that is how you know you're in your last 250, and that's typically the sprint part of the race and when you release everything in the tank. So that's when you fight through that lactic acid and that build up to get to the finish line so you can kind of chill out after exerting all of that energy and mental capacity.
And it's Endeavor leading the race by a length over lane 2 San Diego. Endeavor across the line.
Followed by San Diego Rowing Club.
Exactly 1 length back. Still charging down the course is the USD alum boat. That was tight between 1 and 2.
For sure.
It's like 4.5 seconds.
For sure.
No handicap in this event, all A boats.
Yes, as you said before, you said about 4 seconds between a full 8, and that's exactly what we saw on the screen. Was about a boat, one boat in front.
So that's it for the Women's Masters A category, with Endeavor Racing taking home the Duke Robinson Memorial Cup.
And the last race of the day will be the Men's Masters A, and we will have Club Nautical de San Juan in lane 1. Lane 2, we'll have San Diego Rowing Club. Lane 3, we will have Riverside A. Lane 4, we will have Los Angeles. Lane 5, Riverside B. And lane 6, Riverside C. Obviously, Riverside wanted to be here. Special shout out to them, and as our brother-sister club of Potomac Boat Club, Got to give a shout out to them, and you you know they gotta one of those boats are going to have to win or beat one another, and that's going to be bragging rights on that long flight home back
Hmm.
to Boston. So you love to see when there's that inner squad competition here.
Love it. So these boats, the men's masters, are competing for the Jack Buchanan Memorial Trophy. I believe the sponsor of that is Wells Fargo. Established in honor of Mission Bay Parks and Recreation and the City of San Diego for their ongoing support of the Crew Classic and all rowing endeavors on beautiful Mission Bay. To be had by the winner of this event, our last of the day, coming down the course. No handicap again in this event, all boats
None.
being in the A category.
And I'm seeing some familiar names here, especially in the Riverside boat. Joe Capola in that Riverside B boat, one of my fellow teammates from Undine Barge Club on Boathouse Row. And we are just awaiting for those crews to cross over into that last thousand so we can see. And it looks like the first crew, and that'll be, it's kind of hard to tell which crew that is, but we do have a crew coming across that horizon here.
Just poking out behind that tree. I can go down the list of stroke seats for the boats in lane 1 for Club Nautica. Again, Igor Baraska.
Racing again.
Again.
Jeez.
For San Diego Rowing Club, lane 2 is Jonah Harper. The Riverside A boat, lane 3 is Liam Rex. Stroke for the Los Angeles Rowing Club out of Marina del Rey, California is Dominic Pardini. And for the Riverside B boat in lane 5, our stroke there is Peter Frederick.
It looks like, yes, now we have about 4 crews coming across that horizon at this point.
Looks like a fairly tight race, although
It
we're
does.
still, race is still early and our advantage is not from the best position, but it looks like a fairly tight race.
Yes, and this will be that third half that last bit of the race, that last I want to say that last third 500 of the 4, probably the end of that, coming into that last 500.
We've seen good, clean racing today. I think the only event we saw, at least from where we sit, it was in the quad race where those two boats drifted together.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is definitely going to be a tight race. It looks like this is all for the bragging rights. pretty sure we have some national team members in here as well. Just need to get the names of them. Or former, should I say former? But yeah, we're gonna have some tight racing approaching the beach here shortly. So
I only see one boat trailing the pack.
yeah, so this is going to be a very, very good race. So if you aren't watching the beach right now, I would suggest you come over and check it out. This is racing is all about. We have probably about a minute to go for this race and for the last race of the day here. And yeah, this is absolutely going to be a tight race. I can already see it based upon the screen, but once it's in view in front of me, I'll be able to exactly call it. But it looks like lane 1 is absolutely making a move and stretching it from, but lane 2 is definitely not giving that up. And here they are. Yep. So lane 1 is pulling away from the pack for this last sprint here. They're gaining a seat every stroke. Nice power application. So lane 1, and then followed by lane 2, which will be San Diego. And then lane 3 and 5 looks, wow, very, 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 very close. But it looks like
could have been lane 2, but it was really close.
Looks like, based upon the times here, lane 3, Riverside A may take that. We'll wait for the official times for that one. But that you could see on the screen, that is very, 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 very close there. Could almost be a photo finish, I would say, maybe. And that was between Riverside's A and B boat, so not surprised there. Inter-squad competition.
What a great race. Did I see it was, I think I saw 10 seconds separating the first 5 finishers. Let's see.
Yep.
Well, 12 seconds.
12, yeah.
Between first place and 5th place.
So
tight
yeah,
race.
Very, 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 very tight race. And I'm pretty sure probably Riverside A boat owes drinks to Riverside B boat at that point.
Right. Well, A and B, 13 100ths of a second.
Yep.
And between A and C, only less than 5 seconds. So, wow.
Very, very good race.
Wow.
And that will conclude the first day of the 2023 San Diego Crew Classic 50th anniversary.
What a kickoff. Yeah, great afternoon of racing. Congratulations to all of the crews, especially the winning crews, but congratulations to all the rowers and coxswains. Good racing this afternoon. And we mentioned earlier all of the people that make this happen, especially all of our volunteers who give up their time to come out here. We thank the officials.
And yeah, Richard, it was a pleasure announcing with you for sure. I hear you're a legend out here, so please give me all the juice you have over the years, your wisdom, words of wisdom and knowledge.
Well, not a legend, but thank you anyway, and it's been a pleasure having you here as well. So as we said earlier, I'd like to encourage everyone to come out Saturday and Sunday. The racing starting at 7:15 each morning. Hope to see you down here. Weather looks great.
It does, and we will be signing off. Thanks for joining us, for sure.
Signing off. Thank you, everyone.